The bass thundered through Club Obsidian's VIP section, vibrating through Nia's chest as she laughed with her friends. Seoul's most exclusive nightclub glittered with chrome and crystal, packed with Korea's elite. She'd been in the city for 6 months now, working as a cultural consultant for a major entertainment company, and tonight she was celebrating landing her biggest contract yet. "Girl, that man has been staring at you for the past 20 minutes, her friend Mina whispered, nudging her shoulder. Nia glanced across the room, her dark eyes meeting an intense gaze that seemed to cut through the crowd. The man sat in the most secluded VIP booth, elevated above the rest, surrounded by men in expensive suits who stood rather than sat. He was devastatingly handsome, sharp jawline, perfectly styled black hair, and eyes that held something dangerous beneath their calm surface. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, and he hadn't looked away from her once. "He's hot," Nia admitted, taking a sip of her cocktail. "But I'm not interested in these Korean pretty boys who think they can just stare a woman into submission." Mina's face went pale. "Nia, that's not just any man, that's Jisoo, he owns this club. Actually, word is he owns half of Gangnam." "So, rich boy wants to play king?" Nia rolled her eyes, her confidence bolstered by champagne and success. At 25, she'd learned not to be intimidated by powerful men. She'd dealt with CEOs, celebrities, and executives who thought they could push her around because of her age or her background. "I don't care how much money he has." What Mina didn't say, what most people didn't speak about above a whisper, was that Jisoo wasn't just a businessman. He was the youngest boss in the Korean Mafia's history, having taken control of the Beak faction at 26 after his father's retirement. In 2 years, he'd consolidated power that most men couldn't achieve in decades. He was known for his cold precision, his strategic brilliance, and his absolute ruthlessness with those who crossed him. As if sensing their conversation, Jisoo stood. He moved with the fluid grace of a predator, and the crowd seemed to part instinctively. His men followed at a respectful distance as he descended from his elevated booth and walked directly toward their table. Nia's friends fell silent, but she refused to be intimidated. She straightened her spine, her curves accentuated by the burgundy dress she wore, and met his approach with a raised eyebrow. "You're in my seat," Jisoo said in perfect English, his voice smooth and deep, with just a hint of accent that made it somehow more dangerous. Nia looked around the VIP section pointedly. "I don't see your name on it, besides we reserved this table." A flicker of something, surprise, maybe amusement, crossed his face. People didn't talk back to Jisoo, ever. His men tensed, hands moving subtly toward concealed weapons, but Jisoo held up one hand, stopping them. "Do you know who I am?" he asked, tilting his head slightly. "Should I?" Nia countered, though her heart was beating faster now. There was something about his presence that filled the space, making the air feel thicker. "Look, I'm sure you're very important and used to people falling over themselves for you, but I'm just here to have a good time with my friends. There are plenty of other tables." Jisoo's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "You're American." "Wrong, I'm from South Africa. And before you ask, yes, I know I'm the only black woman in this club right now. I'm used to standing out." "That's not why I noticed you," Jisoo said, and there was something in his tone that made her skin prickle with awareness. "You carry yourself like you own the room, like you're not afraid of anything." "Why would I be afraid?" Nia challenged, standing up so she could meet his eyes more directly. Even in heels, she had to look up at him. He was easily 6 feet tall, but she refused to be diminished. "I haven't done anything wrong. I'm just a woman having drinks with her friends." Mina whispered urgently, tugging at her arm. But Nia was on a roll now, emboldened by champagne and her natural defiance. "And frankly, Mr. Whoever you are, your intimidation tactics might work on everyone else here, but they don't work on me. I've dealt with men like you before. Rich, powerful, used to getting everything you want. Well, you can't handle me." The words hung in the air between them. Somewhere in the club, glass shattered. The music seemed to fade into background noise. Jisoo's men looked at each other with expressions that ranged from shock to something like pity. But Jisoo himself, he laughed. It was a genuine sound, rich and unexpected, and it transformed his entire face. For a moment he looked his age, 28, not the ageless crime lord he portrayed. "Can't handle you," he repeated, stepping closer. He smelled like expensive cologne and something darker, more primal. "That's an interesting challenge, miss." "Nia, just Nia, and it's not a challenge, it's a fact." "Nia," he said, as if testing how her name felt in his mouth. "I like you. You're either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. I haven't decided which yet. Neither, I'm just honest. Jisoo studied her for a long moment, his dark eyes searching hers. Whatever he saw there seemed to satisfy him because he nodded slowly. Keep your table, consider it a gift, but this conversation isn't over. He turned to leave, then paused. One piece of advice, Nia. In Seoul, it's wise to know whose territory you're in. This city has rules and breaking them has consequences. Is that a threat? It's a warning, there's a difference. His eyes lingered on her face, intense and unreadable. You should learn it. Then he was gone, his men falling into formation around him as he returned to his elevated booth. But Nia could feel his gaze on her for the rest of the night, heavy and assessing, like he was a hunter who'd just found interesting prey. Mina grabbed her arm the moment he was out of earshot. Are you insane? Do you have any idea what you just did? I stood up for myself, same thing I always do. Nia, that man is dangerous, like actually dangerous. There are rumors. People who cross the Beak faction disappear. He's not some corporate executive you can shut down in a boardroom. But Nia was watching Jisoo's booth, where he sat with his eyes still fixed on her. He raised his glass in a small salute, and despite herself, despite the warning bells going off in her head, she felt a thrill run down her spine. She'd told him he couldn't handle her. What she didn't know was that Jisoo had built an empire by taking on impossible challenges. And now, she'd just become his newest obsession. The beast in him had awakened, and Nia had no idea what she'd unleashed. The next morning, Nia woke to 73 missed calls and 200 messages. Her phone had been buzzing since 6 a.m., and when she finally dragged herself out of bed with a champagne headache, she found her social media flooded with tags and mentions. Someone had filmed her confrontation with Jisoo. The video was everywhere, Korean social media, international forums, even making rounds on Twitter. The comments ranged from admiring her courage to predicting her imminent demise. This girl is dead, one comment read in Korean, which Mina translated over a frantic phone call. She doesn't know who she's dealing with. R.I.P. to this beautiful sister. But there were others too. Finally someone put him in his place. She's iconic. I wish I had her confidence. Nia stared at her phone, her stomach churning with a mixture of anxiety and defiance. She'd meant what she said last night. She wasn't going to apologize for being herself, not even to some mafia boss who thought he owned the city. Her doorbell rang at exactly 9 a.m. When she opened it, she found a delivery man holding the largest bouquet of black roses she'd ever seen. Tucked among them was a small card with elegant handwriting. Dinner, tonight, 8 p.m, a car will come for you, don't keep me waiting. J. No question, no request, just an order. Nia's first instinct was to throw the flowers out and ignore the summons entirely. But something stopped her. Maybe curiosity, maybe the fact that she'd seen enough Korean dramas to know that ignoring men like Jisoo only made things worse, or maybe it was the small, reckless part of her that wanted to see what would happen next. She spent the day trying to focus on work, but her mind kept drifting back to those intense eyes, that dangerous smile, the way the entire club had seemed to hold its breath when she challenged him. At 7:30, she found herself standing in front of her closet, debating what one wore to dinner with a mafia boss. She settled on a black dress that hugged her curves perfectly. If she was walking into the lion's den, she'd do it looking like a queen. The car arrived precisely at 8. It was a sleek black Mercedes with tinted windows, and the driver who opened her door wore an earpiece and the unmistakable bulge of a concealed weapon. They drove through Seoul in silence, eventually pulling up to a building in Gangnam that looked like a fortress disguised as luxury apartments. She was escorted to the penthouse by 2 more suited men who spoke in rapid Korean into their earpieces. The elevator opened directly into an apartment that could only be described as palatial, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist decor that screamed old money, and artwork that probably cost more than most people's houses. Jisoo stood by the windows, backlit by the Seoul skyline. He changed into a more casual black shirt and slacks, but he still looked every inch the dangerous man he was. When he turned to face her, his expression was unreadable. You came, he said simply. Did I have a choice? Nia replied, though they both knew she could have refused. There's always a choice. The question is whether you're brave enough to make it. He gestured to a dining table set for 2, complete with candles and what looked like a 5-star meal. Shall we eat? I had my chef prepare traditional Korean dishes. I thought you might want to experience something authentic. Nia sat, eyeing him warily. So what is this? Are you going to kill me over dessert? Jisoo laughed again, that same genuine sound that had surprised her last night. If I wanted you dead, Nia, you wouldn't have made it out of the club. No, this is much more interesting. What is it then? He poured her wine, something red and expensive, before answering. You told me I couldn't handle you. I've spent the last 24 hours thinking about that statement. And I've decided you're right. He met her eyes and there was something predatory in his gaze now. But not for the reasons you think. I can't handle you the way I handle everyone else, with threats, with power, with fear. Those things don't work on you. Good to know you noticed. I notice everything about you, Nia. His voice dropped lower, more intimate. The way you carry yourself, the fire in your eyes, the fact that you'd rather die than bow to anyone. It's refreshing. In my world, everyone wears masks. Everyone pretends, but you're exactly who you appear to be. Is there a point to this? Nia asked, though her heart was racing now. Jisoo leaned forward. The point is that you've caught my attention in a way no one has in years. And I'm a man who gets what he wants, Nia. Always. I'm not something you can just acquire, she shot back. No, he agreed, you're not, which is why this will be so much more interesting. He paused, studying her. I want to make you a proposition. I'm not interested in whatever criminal enterprise you're running. Not that kind of proposition. His lips curved into a smile that was all danger and promise. I want you, not just for a night, not just for a fling. I want to possess every part of you, your fire, your defiance, that beautiful arrogance that makes you think you can take on the world. Nia's breath caught. You're insane. Perhaps, but I'm also honest. I saw you last night and something in me recognized something in you. We're the same, Nia. We both refuse to bend. We both believe we're untouchable. The difference is I actually am. This is crazy. I don't even know you. Then let me court you. Let me show you my world. If after 1 month you still think you can't be with me, I'll let you walk away. No consequences, no threats, you'll be free. And if I say no right now? Jisoo's expression darkened slightly. Then I'll respect that. But I think you're curious, Nia. I think you want to see what happens when two people who refuse to submit finally collide. I think you want to test yourself against me as much as I want to test myself against you. He was right, and that terrified her. There was something magnetic about him, something that called to the reckless, adventurous part of her soul. 1 month, she heard herself say, but I have rules, you don't control me, you don't own me, and the moment you cross a line, I'm gone. Jisoo's smile was triumphant. Agreed, though I should warn you, Nia, I don't know how to do anything halfway. When I want something, I consume it completely. Good, Nia said, meeting his intensity with her own. Because I don't break easily, let's see who handles who. As they began to eat, neither of them could have known that this moment would change everything. That their collision would set off a chain of events that would shake Seoul's underworld to its core. The beast had found his match, and the game had only just begun. Love doesn't always happen the way we expect. But what if destiny brings two souls from different worlds together? Their story isn't over yet, it's just beginning. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, because part 2 will make your heart race. Don't blink, you might miss the moment love finally wins.